of all, it is Revelation Wednesday, and I decided to do a little something different. A friend of mine, Navid Moses, suggested, hey, you just turned 28, right? You should be doing some kind of 28 things you learned since you now turned 28. And I was like, that's a great idea. So it took me a while to kind of write down 28 things that I've learned, but it just kind of took a long time to kind of sit down and be like, what have I learned looking back? And it was a really cool exercise, not to just make a video and have fun, but a really cool exercise to sit down with myself, randomly at different times during this past week and be like, yes, what have I learned, and what am I going to do moving forward, and what lessons, and am I still making the same mistakes? And a lot of these kind of thoughts came up, so I think it's really cool that I share with you guys the 28 things I've learned, and that way it could maybe inspire you to look back at your life, however old you are, and be like, what have I learned, and what can I do moving forward? And it's a pretty cool, fun exercise, and if you can film it and vlog it, I'd love to see it too. So let me know in the comments. All right, here we go. Number 1, patience serves me well. And I've never thought of myself as patient because I've never been patient. I'm actually very impatient, impulsive, and it makes me do a lot of kind of irrational and maybe even make some mistakes and dumb mistakes. And it's because of how I make my decisions. And I found this out because I am called a satisficer and not a maximizer. So there's maximizers and satisficers in as far as how you make your decisions. So a satisficer is basically satisfied with the first thing that they see, if it suits them, if it's functional, if it serves all the purposes it's supposed to serve. They're not really too concerned about shopping for the best price. If they like it, right off the bat, boom, done, sold. That's how I am, and that's what kind of makes me impulsive and impatient, and that's why I hate shopping. And my husband, on the other hand, is a maximizer. So he loves to shop, and he takes his sweet ass motherfucking time with everything, and it drives me crazy. And I think that the takeaway from number 1 is for me to be more patient, not to be the extreme, like you never take action, which is how I feel he is. Kind of finding the middle in between, being patient and being decisive. Number 2, believing in myself when there was no reason to. So a big reason why I'm here hosting a show with my husband and doing life and business the way that I've always wanted to, and kind of had this idea 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, was because I feel like I really had to believe and have faith without any proof. There's no validation in the past to get me here. So in the beginning, you may feel like especially if you're starting an online business and you're blogging and stuff like that, and maybe you're not getting the immediate feedback that some other people are getting, and you see it, you see it on the blogosphere, like, hey man, how they get so many likes? Hey man, how they get so many shares? Like, in the beginning, I didn't care about that stuff. It was there and it kind of was pulsating a little bit, but I always kind of came back to, I feel it in my heart to create this content that I'm creating, even though nobody's listening. And not nobody, but I mean not this like significant number of people are listening or liking or giving validation or saying yes to me. I had to do it for myself. The first thing, because you want support, you want the validation, you want the likes, the shares and shit like that, like the numbers. The first thing that you absolutely have to do is believe in yourself, even when there's no proof of believing in it, only because the proof is here in your heart, in your spirit, like, oh yeah, I have to do this, Number 3, I have anxiety issues. That was a big, not to put a label on it, but it was just to know, like, to know, like, I didn't know what was wrong with me. Like, why were I having these issues? Why did I feel this pit in my stomach all the time when X happened or when this happened? It's like, not knowing is really detrimental to the psyche, because you think you're trying everything, it feels hopeless. When you don't know, it feels hopeless. So for me, like, knowing that I could finally, knowing that I had anxiety issues made me approach my problem differently, better. So, and now I'm actually getting results in easing my anxiety, and that's amazing. So if you have anxiety, or you maybe you have this thing where you're like, I don't know why I feel like this, and these are the symptoms of anxiety, X, Y, and Z, and I don't know what to do. Like, maybe it's because you haven't approached your problem in a different way. Number 4, I have issues about money. And it stems from my upbringing, and I remember when I was a child, and I would ask, I either asked, "Are we rich?" or something like that, and the response was, "No, we're not rich. Don't say we're rich." And there was, I remember that very clearly, and because I was like, "Oh, so rich means bad." And when you're young, you're very impressionable, and I think that kind of stuck with me for a long time, because my family was very frugal growing up. I had this kind of fear about money, and always, like, I've gotten myself into some very sticky situations with money, including bankruptcy. I have a Chapter 7 bankruptcy on my record. That's a long story. I could say it's not my fault, but I'm equally at fault for that. I think I have some very deep-rooted fears about money and earning money and categorizing myself as somebody who makes money. And I think I'm slowly getting over that because of a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and how my perspectives were very poor about money and about living life and about spending and about living. And it's a very great book. Whether you like the author or not, I highly recommend that you check it out and listen to it on Audible. It's so awesome to just be able to smash the limitations that you thought of yourself. So I no longer, I'm changing my perspective as far as to, how I think about, who's rich and who's poor and what that means. Number 5, I need to dream big and aim big to accomplish something better than mediocrity, better than normalcy, better than the template. Our podcast, Get in the Lab podcast, got on New and Noteworthy, and now we've been recognized in entrepreneur.com as one of the up-and-coming podcasts to listen to. Those are very great validations and accolades. They're not the best accolade by far, but I was always feeling that I never reached for the top, the best, because I think I truly didn't believe that I could accomplish it. And that's why I think throughout a lot of my life it's been very much reaching but never landing. I have a lot of dreams where I'm punching but never landing my punch. And I think that's because I don't believe that I can truly follow through. Like, deep down, I don't even want to try to reach for the stars because I feel like I'm not gonna accomplish it. And when I realized that, I was like, wow. That really, burned a fire under me, and it got me a little bit angry with myself because it's like, I didn't truly believe I could do it. And the reason why I didn't believe I could do it, who knows? It's probably a bunch of factors, right? But now I understand the importance of dreaming big, thinking big, reaching for the top, for the best, to say for yourself, yes, I'm going to build an empire. Yes, I'm going to do that. Yes, I'm going to have my home office. Yes, I'm going to have the home that I want. Yes, we're going to have this house that belongs to us. And I think when you dream big, you activate a part in your brain and your creativity, your resourcefulness to actually get that stuff. Like, to not be afraid of actually getting it, to actually getting what you want. Like, I can't believe that humans are so hardwired to fear more than to aspire. And that's in science. Like, we're hardwired to have the fear part of us be more powerful. That's why the negative is like more focused on than the positive. Because, it goes back to survival. Like, the negativity, the fear is so powerful in us because it's a survival mechanism. Number 6, I love vlogging. I truly love vlogging. And you know what, we're gonna cap it off right here because we're at 12 minutes and I think that's a long ass video. Yes, I love vlogging. I love doing this. I love the interaction in the comments, be it little or a lot. And I think that vlogging has been probably the thing that has accelerated my self-growth more than anything, more than a book, more than a conversation with somebody. And because it's just truly, for one thing, it's me, the relationship with myself, and then delivering that to you, whoever's watching on the other side of this lens. So I want to say thank you for listening so far. We've only gone through 6, so this is going to be a series, and I think it's going to be kind of fun. So I hope that you were able to take away some of the stuff in this first 6 from 28 things that I've learned, and we'll see you in the next one. All right, peace.